welcome to episode 36 of Capes and Commentaries. I am your co-host, Nathan Kennedy. I'm here with Tank Tops, Tyler Baker, and on this week's episode, we're going back to X-Men Cold Vengeance, where Wolverine's a little sad that he can't get with Jean Grey, and he decides he's going to run off to the Arctic and make some new friends and meet some old enemies.
Yeah.
Tyler,
did you watch? I'm doing all right, bud. I'm anxious to revisit the X-Men. I mean, as God knows, we got so many adventures to deal with them, let alone everybody else. But I'm excited about this episode. And Nathan picked this one. I gave him like a list of episodes to choose from, like this, Spider-Man and Batman. He picked this one, and I figured he probably picked it just because I said it's Wolverine, Sabretooth. Oh yeah, let's do that one.
Yeah,
because of it's getting balls to the wall action. Bitter enemies beating the hell out of each other.
Lots of jealousy going on in this. The theme of this episode is jealousy. Wolverine's jealous. The guy in the do we call it like a tribe?
The Eskimo tribe. Yeah,
he gets jealous of Wolverine because he's thinking that he's making all the girls laugh at him.
He's seen as the alpha male of this tribe because he just comes in and pretty much steals this guy's thunder. Kiowak, that's his name. Kiowak. Yeah, and and who I think anybody would be jealous of Wolverine, given his,
he is a handsome man.
Yeah, I mean no one wears rugged hair and a pointy hairdo like he does. He's got he's the epitome of machismo in the Marvel universe. I dare say find somebody who's more macho than Wolverine. Anybody. And I think I'm sitting here talking by myself. Apparently, I must have offended Nathan.
No, whatever. I feel like in this scenario, if we're doing the real life stuff, then I guess you would be Wolverine because I would be the one being with the chick that you're vying for. You'd be like, how'd that happen?
Yeah. That goes back to high school. Girls had to be interested in it. Like, no, they think Nathan's funny, and
that's one of the best things.
Yeah, which there was. Yeah, at least one. Then there was another girl I was kind of interested in, but I don't think it had anything to do with you. But yeah, that one in particular, Nathan. We'll always, like me and Nathan will always reflect back on that time. Oddly enough, Nathan wasn't into her. She was into him. He wasn't into her. I was into her. So, I took off to the Antarctic, and I had a big fight with Jason Queen in the Arctic, and beat his ass, and everyone thought I was great up there too, and he set a trap for me and everything. So yeah, it's pretty much life imitating art.
I mean, it honestly still happens to this day.
Yeah.
No.
I almost say like Nathan's personality is a mix of Sabretooth and Wolverine. He wants peace, but then he likes to antagonize me, much like how Sabretooth likes to antagonize Wolverine. And if you get Nathan roused up even the slightest, the claws come out and he just goes into Wolverine berserker rage and just there's nothing but torn shirts, blood stains, and or bloodstains on the carpet. A little smooth criminal there. But I kind of feel like Nathan's an amalgam of those two.
We'll go with that.
Yeah.
But hey, man, chicks still dig it.
Yes, Nathan is a funny guy, and women they flock to Nathan. If Nathan starts snapping his fingers and flinging his limbs around and dances like he's walking on cloud or like he's walking above ground. I don't know how he does, but when he does it, it's just like you'd have to capture it on camera. The way he's got that going for him. He's Brad Dourif's lookalike. Mr. Kennedy's got it all.
That's the key. When women do say like they like funny guys, that is partially true. You have to be kind of decent looking, but if you're funny enough. And you can be funny in a way that it shows that you're not, you can have this idea that's just not serious at all. Like if you go and you start dancing and they think it's funny, then they're into it.
Nathan likes to go up behind random girls and snapping his fingers there.
I don't do that.
That is completely made up, people.
It may be like, I don't know, 17 years ago.
Yeah, well, Nathan, it's not like Nathan he did used to do that kind of, stuff in public and various places. It's almost as if, I almost felt like if Nathan thought he could get me laughing, he was going to do it.
Well, it goes back to the old adage that they say too: dance like no one's watching. And that's how I always kind of took it. It's like, if I'm going to be silly, I'm just not going to care who's around. I'm just going to do whatever I want to do, you know? And
this would be in the aisles of Target, walking around Valley View Mall, in the movie theater. It was just, there was no Burger King.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are no limits to Nathan's mentality, which I've always felt that he was a comedic genius because of that, because it just didn't matter where we were at. I mean, there's something that he said to this day that I'll just think to myself and just start laughing to myself.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Well, there's various stuff, that like Nathan making fun of that guy who looked like Pete Wentz in FYE that one time, and I just thought that was just funny as hell. Like some like hipster goth guy like wearing like skinny jeans and a goofy hairdo. Like a
when we say that too, this is like an outlandish, like they're doing it for attention.
Yeah, they
want people to look at them. It's not a choice of like, I do this because I like it. It's more of a thing of like, I want people to look at me.
Yeah,
and in that instance, that's when you start to catch shit. I'm sorry, you just have to.
Yeah,
like why do you do that? Like, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
But shit, man, I feel like maybe we should just go ahead and get cracking.
Let's crack it open, dude.
You guys following along? No link down below this go around, so feel free.
It is on YouTube. Cold Vengeance. It's someone has uploaded the full episode with the Fox Kids logo at the top. It's a complete episode. It's not altered or reversed or anything.
I see. I didn't bother to look because I just assumed.
Well, because normally they're not. But there's a clean version of just this episode on there. So if you want to look it up on YouTube, it is. So
there you go. Give it a search. X-Men Cold Vengeance.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's get it going, because I feel like I got a lot to say as we watch this, but we'll see how it goes.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Action.
Previously on X-Men.
I got like a second or two behind you here. But this is recapping what happened in Captive Hearts with the battle with the Morlocks. Which, as a kid, I did not like that episode at all, because I didn't know who they were. I thought, this isn't Magneto. This isn't the Brotherhood. So I thought they were made up, and I had no idea for years that they were actual characters in the X-Men mythology. And because I just felt like they just weren't as imposing as someone like Magneto or Apocalypse, I'm like, these suck. I since renounced that viewpoint.
Oh no.
There's Calypso. Do you remember this episode at all?
Oh, dude. Every time I watched X-Men, I'm telling you, it was Night of the Sentinels, and then whatever episode it was where Professor X and Magneto are walking around. And
in the Savage Land?
Shit, yeah. Like, those were the only two that I ever saw most of the time. So I just gave up on this show, because I'm like, no, not this one again. I wanted new episodes.
Yeah, and I know Larry gave an explanation about that, and he did say, Fox was playing the hell out of Night of the Sentinels for like consecutive Saturdays. You're like, gee, how many more episodes? How many more weekends do we have to go before we actually see a new episode, for crying out loud? So, but I remember as a kid too thinking the storyline of the Savage, and of course it's like the comic books. It expands like over issue to issue a lot of times, even though they're telling one succinct story. It's also, giving leeway to another story that's going on that will eventually lead up to a much more bigger story unfolding, and that's what the show does so well. I'm sure that was a lot of Larry's input as well. But I remember when this one, I mean, the pretty much the whole first season I watched or even the second season too, I watched when it aired originally. And Cold Vengeance was one I watched Saturday morning with my brother, and was pretty pumped to get more Sabretooth and Wolverine action, because we'd only been teased with it a little bit in I think Deadly Reunions, where Sabretooth's working with Magneto.
Yeah, there's Cyclops being a bitch, by the way.
I like Cyclops. Like I've ran into plenty of people who don't like him, and I completely understand that. But I like his portrayal is in this series is why I like Cyclops. I'm not one to, James Marsden does a very lackluster job as Cyclops.
Oh yeah,
I
he
don't think
sucks.
he's terrible. Yeah, but I don't think it's completely his fault. I blame the script and Bryan Singer, of course, and everyone wants to see Wolverine anyway. So
true.
But
and we'll see it later on in the episode too. Gambit's kind of being a smartass, and he's basically Cyclops gonna be like, I'm the leader.
Yeah,
be me. I'm the leader. Yeah.
But it makes sense that, as leader, you're going to have struggles like that. Here we are. This is very, very exciting.
Yeah, I like how he kind of calls them out. It's like basically you've gotten soft.
Yeah, and this is behavior and dialogue that's right out of the comics. Like this dynamic of these guys. I love this fight and the music playing. I mean, it's just honestly, there could have been an entire episode of nothing more of these two in the Antarctic and nothing else. Just 22 minutes of these two tracking each other down, resting, trying to sleep, trying to eat, and then the hunt is back on. Like I could have easily watched an episode that was just that. And I remember asking Larry too, like, because these two, I mean, that you see these guys in the comics, they don't shy away from the violence. I mean, there's blood, body tears, impales, and all kinds of stuff. And it's difficult trying to depict two of the most violent characters in the Marvel Universe in a children's cartoon and convey the kind of rapport these two have.
Yeah, that seems like a lot of times the roadblocks that I'm assuming that they would run into with these comic book properties of just being able to make it as savage as you can without it being too much to affect it being a show aimed at children.
Which, I know my parents, they weren't monitoring cartoons except Beavis and Butthead in South Park was like a brief concern with them. Then that quickly deteriorated. But
right
with stuff like this, I mean, I get it, but I will say, I think to their credit, they managed to pull off Wolverine's demeanor of like the kind of guy that will kill you. Like the way he talks, the way he carries himself.
I like that line of dialogue right there about he can't wait to bury his bones.
Yeah, if that doesn't get a message across, I don't know what will.
Here we go. Here's Cyclops trying to throw his dick around.
Now you can't argue that his visual design is the best. I know you don't like him, but
yeah, no, this is the best design to me. And here's what I also hate. He's sitting there talking like, oh, we shouldn't do this. We shouldn't. But then Professor X turns around and he's like, you know what? Maybe we do need a vacation. And yeah, we should do this. And Cyclops like, oh, yeah, that's a good idea, sir.
It's clearly teacher's pet, right there.
That's what I don't
Well, he's in no position to, nobody is going to, Storm might challenge her because I've seen her challenge him in the comics before. Like, look, if I'm the leader, I need to be, allowed to make the final decision on things, So, because there's been various leaders of the X-Men over the years, but
I just like to give you shit for it because you've always liked the Cyclopses and the Leonardos and everything, and I've always been like
But Cyclops is not my favorite X-Men. It's Wolverine, Nightcrawler, and Colossus.
Well, I know, but you always tend to like gravitate towards like the leaders of the group, and I've always gravitated more towards the guys that are going to butt heads with the leaders.
Yeah,
it's just funny like how our personalities like tend to match our tendencies of what we liked in these cartoons as kids.
Yeah, Nathan definitely is more attracted to the rebel archetypes and shows like this. And I'm as a kid, I was naturally inclined to be, but not for the X-Men. I loved Wolverine. He was my favorite in the show. I liked Gambit. I liked Cyclops. I liked him a lot. And actually, this was like I said, this was what made me become a fan of the character. But Nightcrawler, Colossus, Archangel, Iceman, and Wolverine have always been fan favorites of mine.
I was trying to figure out last night, like, what is on his hat exactly? Because it looks almost like the Detroit
UPS logo.
Well, no, it looks like the Detroit Tigers logo. I think that's what it might be. Honestly.
Okay. Yeah, it does. I guess
kind of
I was looking at the brown and the gold, maybe thinking UPS, but it does look like the Detroit logo. Yeah. which would make sense because he clearly comes off as the guy who's not about the old ways. Like he kind of comes off like he would be a fan of a sports team because that's not part of their culture. He's, I like seeing these bits too of like Sabretooth kind of on his own prepping, like knowing Wolverine's still out there. And that's why I feel like this could have gone on for 2 episodes, I feel like. But I get why. It's really cool because when you realize that Larry felt that this may have been the only season they get, they're trying to pack in as many storylines and to have an episode devoted to just Wolverine and Sabretooth. That's an important thing, a 13-episode season, when you think this may be all we get.
Right.
So we got to have 1 episode devoted to these two kicking each other's ass. Wolverine's a character, too, that I feel like you can put him with anybody. As outspoken and brash and rebellious as he is, I don't feel like if you put he's someone who works with any Marvel character. He works in almost any scenario. He's an assertable character. As difficult as the character is for people to interact with, he works with anybody.
Yeah, I like right here how Gambit just didn't bother to change into other clothes. Yeah. I mean, I guess his does kind of more like fit the like a street clothes style, but still, it's just funny that you couldn't at least like put on a different shirt. I think it would have been funny to see him in like a Hawaiian shirt or something. Which,
I mean, and I have seen Gambit before. Like he has his hair back in a ponytail sometimes and different clothing. I mean, he is the suavest of the X-Men, so you kind of feel like the guy could be rocking like a nice blazer, kind of a Don Johnson kind of vibe or something like that for the 90s.
Yeah. And here we go. Here's Wolverine starting to gradually show him up. He's catching all the fish.
Yep.
And
everyone's laughing, and because he's so great, and this is like this is a common human thing. Somebody new comes into a territory that's new to them, and if they bring something to the table that no one else has, it draws attention.
He ain't so fucking funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Have you ever done that before with people holding like a big sheet and throwing you in the air?
I want to say that was attempted. I think we did something similar to that in elementary school, but we didn't toss everybody up though. But I want to say I thought maybe it had been done at some point, maybe at like at in some sort of like recreational activity when I was in elementary school. Because I want to say I have done it before, something to a certain extent, but not enough to really justify like I remember doing that for sure. But
yeah, I definitely did not do that at all. I think that's kind of the cool thing about Wolverine as well, is like they like him and they want to include him, but he's still just sort of like, hey, no. Can totally relate to that.
Yeah, and that makes sense because, in Wolverine's mind, he's always afraid to get close to people because, he knows people that have, he's lost. I mean, especially when you realize too how old the character is, and he's seen a lot of people come and go throughout his life.
Kind of wonder if they got baseball up there and he's like a huge fan of Cecil Fielder or something.
He might be.
That's the only guy I remember being on the Tigers. I can't remember any other notable players.
I mean, it probably was like obviously they can't put an actual Detroit Tigers like logo on there, but
I bet it looks very similar.
Yeah, it does. A good eye on that. Now for me too, like as a kid, like this was my first like kind of realizing who Sabretooth was, and I would see the visual style that he had before this, where he had like the complete orange outfit with his furry mane was a lot smaller. Like it wasn't as big and illustrious as it is there. But this one and the previous one, I've never cared for like the more street look Sabretooth or any other version after this one. I just don't feel like I don't like the trench. Tyler may look great as Sabretooth, but overall, like this one and the previous, like the one that was introduced in Iron Fist 14, I think, that style of Sabretooth is always that one and this one. I've never cared for any other versions though, period. Because I like the kind of animal look and just wild, and just kind of savage. I mean, and that's the way Sabretooth ought to look. I don't want to see a guy just wearing like a beat up tank top and jeans and a short blonde hairdo and he's got fangs. And that's Sabretooth. Like, no, that's just lazy. And Jubilee sporting a sweater to go to the beach.
Well,
maybe that's all the street clothes she could get when she moved out of the house.
I mean, she is wearing shorts.
She is wearing shorts, though. Yeah.
Maybe it's cool enough. Maybe it's like low 60s.
Well, hell, Gambit's wearing his full trench coat too. So
yeah.
Storm wearing her very sexy looking civilian outfit. This setting up the Slave Island episode that follows after this, where we see all kinds of great cameos by like the Blob and Mystique and Sunfire and various other X-Men characters, and Cable showing up for the first time in the next episode. But I like that. Like this, as of right now, like it's playing an important part because they go back to this storyline, multiple times. But it's not the focus though, but setting up the next episode. Just to leave you wanting more here. Here we are back to. Here's the plot thickens. And this is the kind of situation that it makes sense that you would find Logan in, hanging out with locals who are living a more simplistic lifestyle.
Well, he even says it. He's like, I can't get away from it, more or less.
Yeah. And that's the character. Like I like that. That's why he's a great character because of the depth to him. Like he's not going out looking for problems. They find him and he welcomes it. If you want to throw down, but he's like Nathan Kennedy. All right, we doing this? Claws pop out. Let me put up my stogie real quick.
It's the best way to approach a fight. Yeah. Have them come to you.
Yeah.
Oh, we doing this? All right. Drop the gloves. Start punching him in the face.
Yep. And as we've seen, oh damn it, I done forgot his name now. Kiowak. The mistake of his alliance with Sabretooth here is cost them both here. Which is, that's how you portray a villain.
Yeah.
Sabretooth would never follow to a deal with anybody. Unless it was Magneto, because Magneto would kick his ass.
The women were laughing at me and they didn't want to fuck me anymore, so... Yeah.
And Wolverine should have just given a nice slash across the face or something like that. It's like, dude, do you have any idea what...
Well, he thought about it just now.
Yeah, and obviously I think in the comics he probably would have given him a good pounding in the face a couple of times. But he's like, it's just... Also, like, Wolverine's thought process about this too. It's like, he knows it's Sabretooth. So...
Yeah.
And Sabretooth would take advantage of somebody that's in a vulnerable spot as Kiowak was.
A little bit of a
color,
yeah.
I
was like, oh wait, when did he get the long sleeves?
Then you also said too, oh yeah. Ah man. That's a shame we have not gotten this kind of Sabretooth in a live action film. Like it's just it's unfortunate because I don't think honestly at this point we'll ever get what we saw in Logan is what we should have seen in previous Wolverine appearances and his other from X-Men even to the solo films, to not have a feud like this in any of the X-Men films whatsoever. Like it was teased a little bit in the first X-Men film, which was probably the best, Wolverine feud that we got. As short-lived as it was, and it really wasn't built upon because you just, I understand why, but it still would be great to see Hugh Jackman duke it out with a Tyler Mane-sized Sabretooth in just a really vicious fight.
Well, you never know. We might get that. I was reading something that X-Men might actually, when Disney launches that streaming service, that X-Men might actually be, they might make it like a series instead of more movies, which, if they can approach that like they did with Daredevil. But
I feel like if they really appreciated what Daredevil was, then I think they would have wanted to carry on that. But they've said, no, we're not doing that. I'm like, well, okay, well, then clearly you want to keep things,
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
no balls. And
The future's looking a little bleak in terms of that streaming service. I know NBC wants to do their own. I'm like, oh, great. So now it's just going to turn into everyone wants to do their streaming service, and you're going to have to pick and choose what you want. And it's going to break all that as well. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. So I'm honestly, like, we've got this. There's a couple of X-Men films I absolutely adore and treasure. So I can't say that I've never, in my eyes, gotten something in X-Men media because I love this show. Wolverine and the X-Men is quite good. I love Days of Future Past. X-Men First Class, I think, is by far the best X-Men film. But I think Days of Future Past could give that a run for a top title as well. I think.
I still need to watch it.
And even though it's a Bryan Singer directed film, I like to have Fassbender, McAvoy, along with Hugh Jackman. I mean, it lends itself to some really great character moments, some great action sequences. And it also ties into the previous X-Men films as well. Like, there's a cameo of Kelsey Grammer as B showing up at the tail end and stuff like that too. So it's
and it managed to retcon Last Stand. So
yes. Ugh.
The more that you can do that, the better. But,
yeah.
Wolverine kind of deked him out, and Sabretooth just went over the cliff.
Yep. But he'll be back. Yep, setting up the inevitable capture of our three unsuspecting X-Men here. So you didn't see like what's coming up next with Slave Island with Cable showing up, or you didn't see the Juggernaut episode either when it came on?
I may have seen the Juggernaut episode, but I'm telling you, man, like anytime I tried to watch it, same episodes over and over and over again. I was like, all right, no, I'm done.
I'd like to know like the people at Fox's mindset of like, no, we're just going to replay the pilot for about 2 months in a row. Like, what the hell for? Like, I know it was beyond like Larry and his people's control as to like, we got the set. Can we put it out? No, it's okay.
I like how they put up a pretty good fight right here.
Yeah. I mean, they're not just going to be taken easily, which based on what I know about these characters, and I think what most people say, I would think that obviously it has to be done for storytelling standpoint, but honestly, I think Storm and Luck could probably kick all their asses. Or I mean, honestly, just these three, I feel like could take them all out. And manage to avoid capture, but we don't have a story if that's the case. We don't have comic books if that's the case.
And there we go. To be continued.
Yep, into Slave Island, which is the next episode there. So, well, did you enjoy revisiting or checking this episode out for the first time?
Yeah, no, I always like coming back to X-Men, and it's nice to watch episodes that I never got to see.
Yeah. I mean, the first season, as a kid, I mean, there's not a bad season at all. I mean, I think the fifth season lacked some, yeah. But overall, though, I mean, it's by far the best interpretation of the X-Men outside of a comic book. And plus, I use these when I'm reading X-Men comics. I always use the voices featured in this show.
That makes sense.
So, yeah, when I'm reading Wolverine, I think of him talking like he is in this. Same thing with Sabretooth and Magneto, Professor X. So.
No Australian accent for you?
No.
Fair enough.
I mean, the voice in this show and the gentleman who plays, I forget what his name is at the moment, but he just really, because it just resonated with me the most. Because when I realized too at an early age that he's not Australian, because I saw him in Pride of the X-Men and the Amazing Friends cartoon and realized he's like, and then Matt Hilton told me, well, he's not Australian. I mean, he's not Australian. Like, what? He's not? No, he's Canadian. I'm like, what does that mean?
Well, man, we need to find a way to maybe get him on the show and talk to him, because I noticed that he does subtitles for
Shout Factory, yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
if he would be up for it, bring him on here and just sort of talking about what he does.
Yeah, I think he would love to join us. I think at some point he lives out in California, so he's in a different time zone, of course. But
Oh yeah,
yeah, but he's had run-ins with Al Pacino's car. He's seen Jeff Goldblum. He's saw Mark Ruffalo buying Jack in the Box. Just funny, like little. He's talked to John Landis a couple times and like held his seat at the I think like the Egyptian Theater or something like that too. So he's had some fun dealings with people that me and Nathan we enjoy their work, and to know that Matt has actually interacted with some of those people too, which is like that's pretty badass, dude. So I'm sure he'd enjoy it.
He's got a cool job, so
he does. I'm sure if people out there, if you own the Invasion USA Blu-ray, the Shout Factory RoboCop 2, RoboCop 3, the subtitles were all done by Matt. So
that's cool.
Yeah, so you own some of his work if you own those. So. But among some of the other stuff that he's done, but I think those are like the three most notable films. Like, because I love Invasion USA, and I love RoboCop 2 and RoboCop 3. But still cool to know that he worked on it though. But yeah, I think he'd enjoy sharing some stories about that kind of stuff though.
Yeah, it wouldn't have to be a long chat, but bring him on and we'll talk to him.
Yeah, we'll pick his brain.
Yeah, we'll pick his brain.
Yeah.
Oh man. Let's see. Oddly enough, funny enough, I didn't have to work overtime this Saturday, but I got to work it next Saturday.
That's not funny at all.
Yeah. So.
I figured because next Saturday is Brian's birthday.
Yeah.
So I may go down for the afternoon for his birthday party and come back, so we can do Capes on Sunday if you're game for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
All
that
right.
way you don't have to stress about it or anything like that.
All right, so we'll do that. You guys look for Capes and Commentaries next Sunday. So we'll double it up. It'll be a triple feature day with that and retro and Fans of Power.
Yep, been an exhausting day for us, and Joe just kind of comes in and reaps the benefits, and maybe if we're lucky, he'll promote us.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't know. You know what? What do you feel like doing next week? It doesn't have to narrow down the episode, but is there a show you anxiously want to revisit there? Or?
I don't know. Let's go back to like Rambo or something.
Rambo it is, people. We'll do another Rambo episode. How about that?
All right.
I like that.
That's what we'll do next week. So yeah, I guess any final thoughts on anything before we go ahead and wrap this one up?
I can't say it enough. I mean, people have said it before, but I don't think it's going to have a hard. It's going to be, this bar is set so high in terms of quality for X-Men and just X-Men entertainment in general. I mean, the cartoon has nailed this stuff down better than any of the movies have been able to capture. But like I said, with Days of Future Past and First Class, like certain portrayals give the show a run for its money with Fassbender and McAvoy. I still think this Wolverine's is the best. Next, and then Hugh Jackman, and then after that, it's game over for any other portrayals that have come before or will after. But it's still the best interpretation of the X-Men. I mean, we got so many. Just looking at this disc alone, like I definitely want to check out Slave Island, The Cure, which is Apocalypse's first appearance, and we get some action with Pyro and Avalanche and Mystique. So there's a lot of fun to be had. And in season 1, we got The Final Decision, Days of Future Past. I mean, there's just a lot of great stuff on this. I think I don't have the box. Is Days of Future Past on this one?
Yes.
Oh, that's what I thought. Yeah. So yeah, there's so many other great episodes. We haven't even touched on Magneto, Enter Magneto. So there's so much fun to be had just with the first season alone, let alone with Mr. Sinister showing up in season 2, and we can go back to the Savage Land just like Nathan thoroughly enjoyed.
No,
well, I mean, even as a kid, I did kind of put out with the segments that we're gonna go see what Professor X and Magneto are doing, walk around in the Savage Land. Like, they're not doing anything.
Yeah.
Like, let's get back to the action.
Yeah, it's basically like, hey, you remember when we were friends? Yeah, I remember that too. All right, on to the other.
I know. And I feel like, if Larry were to hear this, he's like, we did it for a purpose here, kids. I'm like, I know, but as a kid, I'm like, oh, where's the fighting at?
Yeah. As a kid, I get it, but when I was seeing it every weekend for like 2 months straight,
because they would break it up, because they would play like for 2 parts of that storyline along with what's going on in the show. And okay, what are we building to? And then they would play a rerun when you expected the 3rd or 4th part, and you're like, okay, where the hell am I? Where is this going here?
Yeah.
Like, am I lost? Did I miss something here?
Yeah. But as we said, that's not his fault. That's all Fox.
No, it's all Fox and their goofy ass, programming of we're going to hold off and play some reruns for about 2 months. So,
we're gonna have to cancel it. No one watched it. Gee, I wonder why.
Yeah. Just that mentality behind those people. Like, I know it's a business and stuff like that, but it just shows like no one's going to take the blame.
Yeah.
For something that has quality that's just flopping.
Yeah, isn't it funny though how that's like everywhere?
Yeah.
Like everywhere. It's not even like our entertainment companies or toy companies. Like, it goes beyond that. It goes for like companies that we've worked for in the past and work for now. That just decisions that are made that you're like, well, what?
Yeah.
Nothing makes sense. Never to add. Whatever.
And a lot of times these people, I've admitted, like, if I make a mistake, forget to do something, or I goof, like, it's my fault, and I own up to it.
Yeah.
But I'd say there's a vast majority of people who are not going to,
they'll
own up to, like,
they'll pass the buck. Oh, that's
every time.
That was Dave in accounting. No, that was you. Idiots. But anyway, we hope you guys enjoyed this. Thank you to JSP for joining us live, and I want to encourage all of you to hit subscribe and ring the bell so you get notified when we go live for Capes and Commentaries, Beyond Retro Podcast, and Beyond Retro Arcade. If I can, if it doesn't want to be jittery on me and be laggy like it was last night, we made it work for the most part, but it wasn't very long. Check out all the links down below. Download us on Podbean or check us out on iTunes. But I also want to encourage those of you that are listening to us on those platforms, hop on over to the YouTube channel, give it a subscribe, and ring the bell. Check out Joe's Customs, buy his t-shirt, and check out Fans of Power, the He-Man and the Master Universe podcast hosted by Tyler Baker and Joe Amato.
And Nathan Kennedy.
And I'm there. I'll be there this week. It'll be me and you.
Yep.
That'll be interesting. I'm sure the chat's going to be, it'll be like, where's Joe?
Last time you and I went solo, I mean, we did a good job, but unfortunately, it's just like people didn't seem to respond to doing a commentary for one of the most prominent episodes.
I just always, it makes me think of Ghostbusters too. It's like, who are you gonna call? And they're all like, He-Man. They're like, oh, that's how I see it. They're like, Joe.
Well, part of that too is he when he's in a good mood, he'll averages, hey, everyone, we're going live in 15 minutes. It's just I mean, you gotta feel like we shouldn't get discouraged. Like, well, how many more years we got to go before we actually build up an actual legitimate following where we shouldn't have to advertise the hell out to say, "Hey, look, we got an episode here. Is it about toys? Hell with it." They're doing a commentary for a good episode. What's this? This ain't fun.
I like how I'm getting them stirred up here. Leave a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts on this episode of X-Men or just the animated series in general. Your thoughts on that.
Say something that's worthwhile. Don't be stupid here, people.
Oh my god. Oh man. And with that, we will see you guys tomorrow for Beyond Retro.
For our fly commentary.
Yeah. Tyler's been pushing this for weeks.
Yeah.
Months even, I think.
I have.
I feel like it's been that long. Maybe it hasn't been that long.
This is something that I'm glad you suggested doing a commentary for it too, because that's even better.
Yeah, I was telling those guys too on Arcade last night. I was like, I might run it by him just where the John Wick trailer dropped if he wanted to do John Wick instead of the Fly. But I think we should stick to the Fly.
Well, I mean,
I think we should. I don't know. I think we should stick to the Fly, but
okay.
I leave that up to you though.
Well,
I was just tossing that idea out there, just
What to do a commentary on John Wick?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm honestly like, if that's, I mean, really, because I both ideas are great, and I want to do both of them.
Yeah.
So, I have no problem.
We'll figure it out.
Well, because we have to take advantage of this, because Joe can't do either one of those, so it's like we have to make one.
Yeah.
Well,
we'll figure it out.
Okay. Well, either one I can do either one on the fly, so it's not like no pun intended.
Well, we'll talk after the show. But until then, we'll see you in the future to talk about the past. Thanks again, everybody.